welcome back to the studio. So, following the protest by some civil society organization in Abuja, the FCT, the Federal Capital Territory, a journalist with the Foundation for Investigative Journalism, Daniel Ojukwu, who was abducted by the intelligence response team of the Inspector General of Police, regained his freedom yesterday, which is Friday the 10th of that's after 10 days in police custody. But now questions have been on everyone's mind. What's going on, you know? And we would think that we had left the military era behind, but we still have this issue of, you know, would I say press oppression? I don't know. But I mean, we have Dr. Yinka with us, still connecting via Zoom, and we'll be having this discussion today. I'm sure I still have Dr. Yinka connected. So, Dr. Yinka, looking at what has just happened with Daniel Ojukwu, and even with journalists in the past that, you know, have been detained or have been tortured, you know, as a cause of probably one report or the other they put out there. Is press freedom in Nigeria actually real? Do we actually oppress, or as journalists actually free in Nigeria? In your opinion, of course.
Yes. I would first of all like to quote a journalist and writer who was credited, Frank Breton, who said, Nigeria's press is the freest and the most ebullient press in Africa. That was under the military regime. So it is a travesty of history that under a democratic government led by someone who was thought or who was a friend of the media, I mean the President Bola Tinubu, who was thought to be a friend of the media and who is himself a media owner, such things will be happening under his watch and not one word will come from him or from his media team. I've been a journalist for over 30 years and a journalism teacher now. I teach press freedom. And one thing we always talk about is that there is no freedom that is absolute. Your freedom starts or your freedom stops where my own starts. But the truth of the matter now is what Daniel Ojukwu, either it's Daniel Ojukwu or Segun Olatunji of First News, these are the most recent cases. Now, there is no crime, if ever they committed a crime, that is not under our laws, under our constitution, or even the press law or whatever. If they have erred and they have libeled or slandered anybody, all that person needs to do is to approach the court and sue them. You don't have a right to abduct any citizen, whether it's a journalist or not a journalist. We are no longer under the military regime. It was under the military jackboot that journalists were being abducted. You see a journalist who will not be able to identify himself as a journalist. A journalist will tell you he's a teacher, because he knows that identifying himself as a journalist opens him up to suspicion or to arrest. God help you if you are even working in what the military then called opposition media. What are the opposition media? Media that is not government owned. So, Daniel Ojukwu, Segun Olatunji, and the others whose name we cannot mention now because there are so many of them. Because if we say we are going to begin to mention them, it will take our time. In less than 1 year, in how many days now, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will be celebrating 1 year of his ascension to power. Is this the way he wants his name to be in the Hall of Fame of the media or all of this fame? Because in all honesty, the media was crucial to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu coming to power. Is this the way he's going to reward the media? I'm not saying that the media, if there's any irresponsible reporting that has been done, should not be taken up. No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that if the media has done anything wrong, or a particular journalist has done anything wrong, take him or her to court. A case of Daniel Ojukwu, the Mrs. Adejoke Adefulire, the former special assistant to the president, President Buhari, all she needed to have done is to dust up her paper, call her lawyer, take the guy to court, and let them meet in court. Then Daniel Ojukwu will now provide evidence of where is it $460,000 or how much he said there has been misappropriated. He will not provide the evidence. But for the police, in the case of Daniel Ojukwu, to be used to intimidate him, because that's clear intimidation. I mean, all you needed to do is take him to court, get a court summon. If he doesn't appear in court, then they can arrest him. Segun Olatunji was bundled. His house was invaded in the night by a military van, and they bundled him away. Why? Why should that be? Under a democratic government, a friend of the media for that matter, and our senior colleagues are many working, our senior and professional colleagues or junior colleagues are in the media team of the president. None of them has thought or it wise to issue a statement or to direct the police or the army to say that release this guy, take him to court. So when we talk of press freedom in Nigeria has suffered a retreat. The democracy that the press fought for is now being used against the press. As I said earlier on, I'm not supporting irresponsible journalism. I'm a teacher of journalism, and I know what I tell my students. And one of the most important cardinal points of journalism is, when in doubt, leave out. The story, did Daniel Ojukwu try to get across to Mrs. Adejoke Adefulire? Did she respond? If she didn't respond, did he say that in his story? And even if he was wrong, if he never had that idea of cross-checking, which I know he did, two wrongs don't make a right. Because Daniel Ojukwu was wrong, let's assume he was wrong, in publishing the story, does not mean the president and the former special assistant should use the police to harass him. It is intimidation, and it is against press freedom. Every Nigerian has a freedom to do anything as long as you are not injured. But if your reputation is injured, all you need to do is to approach a court. So, with this action, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his team are eroding the press freedom of Nigeria, which has always been celebrated that the Nigerian press is the most robust and the freest in Africa, even under the military rule. So, is it under a democracy that they now want to unchain the media and turn it into their lapdog? No. The press has its own role. The job of a journalist is to make its life uncomfortable. When I say uncomfortable, is to put the light at the feet of those in power so that they can wake up and do the right thing. It is not a free press when everything the president does or everything the governor does or local government chairman does, then we splash it on the newspaper and praise them. No, that is not free press. That is lapdog press. That is kinship journalism, as Professor Akinfele will call it. So what you need to do, if any of these mediums are in any way breaking the law, whoever is, okay, assuming Adefulire, or in the case of Segun Olatunji, assuming Segun Olatunji's own was the chief of staff to the president, Assuming they are not the chief of staff to the he was not the chief of staff to the president, will he go to the police or the army to arrest him? Assuming it was a private citizen that happened to, will a private citizen go to the police and tell them to go and arrest so and so person? I'm saying this because it is Segun Olatunji today, it is Daniel Ojukwu today. It might be me, it might be you, it might be any one of us tomorrow. We must always look for a way to address issues. Journalism is not a profession where when a man tells you 2 times 2, you also have to take your Bible and sum it up and agree that it is 4. Because they have told you it is 4, does not mean it is 4. Money was allocated for the agency that Adefulire is superintended over. And this journalist told the document that the thing was not done. All she needed to do is to say, the thing was done. This was how it was done. Not using the police to abduct him and take him away, just like that. So what is this new system now? You arrest a journalist in Lagos and you take him to Abuja. For what for? What for? Why should so a journalist in the US will be arrested in Houston and will be taken to Washington? Nonsense. It shouldn't be. I mean, there must be a way. We must follow laid down procedures. When our leaders are doing things that go against the popular rule, they will tell you that in the US or abroad, fuel is more expensive and this. But when they are doing things that are bad, and those things that those ones are doing abroad, they won't tell us. They won't do it the way they were doing. They are doing it there. So there must be a way to do this thing in a much better way. People should not be abducted from their families.
Okay, all right. So some people believe that Nigeria is one of the most dangerous place to practice as a journalist. And looking back at incidences of Delegiwa, Bolade, Fasisi, and so many others, that have are going through, went through all of these that we're discussing about right now. But now let's look at the body covering the journalists, the National Union of Journalism. What role would you say they play in making sure that journalists are protected, their rights are preserved, if at all, like you said, a report comes out and the affected party feels this is not correct? There's a procedure, there's a process, instead of being detained. So what role do you see the NUJ, which of course is the body covering the journalism field, what role do you see them playing in making sure that the right of every journalist in Nigeria is protected?
Yes. The NUJ, in all honesty, does its own part. Because when Daniel was arrested or abducted, the NUJ issued a statement. Even the Nigerian Guild of Editors, which is the overall, the senior journalist in the profession, also issued a statement. And you also remember that when Segun Olatunji was going to be released, it was released to the Secretary General of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. So, to answer your question, the NUJ, in its own way, is doing it best. In fact, there is a way that it was done before that, okay, if a reporter does anything wrong or a publication does anything wrong, the first thing to do is either to report such a reporter to the union, that is the NUJ. If not to NUJ, you report to the Nigerian Guild of Editors, or at the senior level, you report to if it is a newspaper association, you report to the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria. But if it is a broadcast organization, you can report to the BON, Broadcasting Organization of Nigeria. Those are the various levels at which disciplines are meant to be enforced in the media. However, the law enforcement authorities always see themselves above the law. The Inspector General of Police or the divisional police officer, wherever it is the reporting officer, when a public official or anybody reports to you that the media has libeled him or slandered him or done anything against him, what should be first done is, okay, invite such a reporter to your station or write a letter to the media organization that we had so report. Can you come to our office to come and defend yourself? Or we will want to come and visit you to have your own side of the view. Then, such a person will now come and do what the needful. If you invite a reporter or a media house and they fail to show up, then you can take them to court or go and get an arrest warrant and go and arrest. But in a situation where none of that has been done, somebody just complained that this person has written a wrong article about me, and then the Inspector General orders the divisional police officer or the state commissioner of police to go and arrest such a person. There is no court order, there is no anything, there is no warrant of arrest. Is it the police that gives a warrant of arrest or the court? The court must first of all give an order that go and arrest him, then the warrant will be issued. So the NUJ, in all honesty, I think has been playing its own role. Well, we may think that NUJ may play more, but NUJ as an organization is a union. It's not a law enforcement union. It cannot sanction or it cannot do anything to any media house. But all media houses or all journalists are members of NUJ. So the NUJ takes up its case as it comes. And in the case of Daniel Ojukwu and Segun Olatunji specifically, the NUJ, the Nigerian Guild of Editors, the Newspaper Proprietors Association of Nigeria, all of them played their part. I think they did very well. If they had not made their views known, perhaps these guys would still have been in detention up to tomorrow. So it is the law enforcement agents that we will now tell that they should not see themselves above the law. Yes, they always see themselves above the law, and that is where the problem lies.
All right, thank you so much. That was Dr. Yinka Oyegbile, who is a seasoned journalist, and we've had such an interesting conversation. I would say, sadly, our time is gradually up, but we've had such an interesting conversation. Thank you so much for airing out your views on the program with me today, Dr. Yinka. So glad having you here.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. I hope those concerned will listen. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much. I'm very sure that those concerned are definitely listening. So thank you so much to all our viewers out there, and thank you for being a part of the program. My name is Nenwarangi Mazaka. Do join us by this time next week, Saturday, for more interesting conversations. As for now, goodbye.